Hello!
Hello,
I'm Cathy.
I'm Rachel and this is Lunabird Book Club.
So we've been doing a little series where we share our favourite books with one another, and then we do a video seeing how a first-time reader and a long-term fan reacts to the same book. And so far we've done the Wheel of Time series, which Rachel lent to me, and then we did The Stand, which I lent to Rachel, and now today we're doing The Night Circus, which has been one of my favourite books, and Rachel's read it for the first time. The Night Circus is by Erin Morgenstern. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it was released in the 2000s, and it's a book I come back to maybe once every 2 years because I really love the atmosphere for it, especially as we enter into autumn. It's a very autumnal book in my mind. So yeah, we're going to find out how Rachel got on with it. So we are going to be talking about the entire book, and it's not going to be a very well structured chat. It's going to go all over the place. So spoiler warning is in effect. Don't watch this video if you don't want to find out what happens in the Night Circus. Go read it and then come back and then find out what Rachel thought of it. So I guess we'll start with, what did you think of the book?
To be honest, I didn't really like it that much.
Oh no.
I just, at times, I wasn't really sure why I was reading what I was reading, and I just felt like it was lacking some depth, I suppose. In the beginning, I think there's a lot of setup for not a lot of payoff. Mm-hmm. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but all of the information we were learning at the beginning felt kind of irrelevant because I wasn't being told why I needed to know this information, and a lot of the characters felt a bit two-dimensional.
So I do love this book,
mm-hmm.
but I can see what you're saying, because I think the main reason why I love The Night Circus is because when I reread it, I feel like I'm going to go to the Night Circus and just hang out there for a bit. So I read it for that. I read to go to the circus, to visit all the tents, to be sucked into that atmosphere, to stay at those long dinner parties with all those unusual mm-hmm. people. So I just feel like I'm going visiting, mm-hmm. which is true to say that if my main aim is to go there and just be amongst that thing, I'm not exactly being, what's the word for it? I'm not really that invested in, I've got to find out what's going to happen next.
Okay.
Or to see the plot unfold. So you're kind of right. I think this is a book that's more atmosphere than it is mm-hmm. plot.
But I also wasn't really invested in what happened next because I didn't care.
Oh no! Yeah, well, that's worse, isn't it? You didn't care.
I didn't. No, there was nothing about the characters that made me want to find. Maybe I'm being really harsh, but I just think at times they just weren't developed enough for me to want to know what happened to them. Like, I did want to know what happened to them, but it took me ages to read this book.
So you didn't warm to the characters?
Part of the issue with the characters was that I didn't understand why. Obviously Celia and Marco were locked into this game, but we were never told why until right at the end. And they weren't really told why until near the end. And the actions that they were doing were impacting other people, and they didn't seem to be bothered about that until right at the end. I don't know.
No, that's valid. I think maybe that's... And again, maybe this speaks like the same thing. So I do read this book. I go back to it. I've read it 3 or 4 times. But I do admit, each time I go back, I can't quite remember. I'm always like, oh, what are the rules of this competition? And is there a greater goal in it? And if I'm right, because it's been a while since I've read it, it's never really fully explained of like... There is a substantial goal to it. It's just 2 men boasting against one another.
Pretty much, yeah. It's Alexander. It's not even his real name. So Hector was his student, and then Hector was like, well, the way that I do things is better. So then they got locked in an eternal battle about it. But then in the novel, it's been said that the past 7 times Alexander has won. So clearly, one is better than the other. Why haven't
they haven't stopped?
They haven't stopped.
Yeah, I can see why you'd be annoyed by that. It didn't hook you.
It didn't hook me, and I think part of it was also there was too much going on. Like we had we had the game timeline with Celia and Marco, but within that we were jumping between the two.
Yeah.
We had the intermediary dinners. Well, I did like the dinners, and I think I would have liked to know more about those characters, but they just weren't very fleshed out.
Yeah.
They were very subsidiary. And then we had Bailey's timeline.
I really like Bailey.
What of the bunch, she's probably one of the more likable to me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just name bias. And then we had the newspaper articles from the Clockmaker.
Yeah.
And then we had the second person narratives interspersed throughout it, which I really didn't like. And then it was revealed right at the end that this is Widget telling the story to Alexander to get the circus off him. And I just, that kind of felt, when I read that bit, it kind of felt to me that the author had put them in there specifically to reference them in the story and make it a self-referential story. Which...
You didn't like that?
I didn't like that. Obviously it's a novel that inspired a lot of emotion in me.
Yeah.
So clearly it's done a job, but I don't know if I would read it again. And I spent a lot of time wondering about culpability, I suppose. There's this quote that I picked out where someone goes to visit Celia. I can't remember who it is. Someone goes to visit Celia and they knock over a cup and then Celia fixes it. And then this person says, well, why didn't you stop it before it broke? And we went out for breakfast before we filmed this video and we were sort of talking about it. And Cathy mentioned that Celia's magic is that she makes people see illusions. And I guess that is obvious because she's the illusionist in the novel, but up until you had told me that, when I was thinking about that quote then, the reason that she doesn't fix it is because she can't. She's not physically impacting anything, she's just changing people's alteration of it. And then, so, now that we've had this breakfast and you mentioned that, as much as I hate to say it, I would probably read it again to look at the different...
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm right about that. Look, so I was trying to read a summary to refresh my mind on it, and this summary said, like, Marco does magic to support the infrastructure of the circus, and Celia does illusions, but she does the illusions in people's minds. So I thought she was like making like floating butterflies, you know, like magicking them up. But this article seemed to suggest that she was making people believe they saw flying butterflies. And I never picked up on that before. So I was asking you if that's how you'd read it.
Yeah, that I'd read it like you'd read it. Okay. But then I was thinking about the thing that you'd said just before we filmed this video, and there's this dinner that they go to where someone knocks over a glass of wine and Celia fixes it, and then it's like there's this offhand comment that Chandresh never drinks from his wine glass again. Ooh. And I'm thinking, is that because she hasn't fixed it? She's just making them all see that it looks fixed. Well, then also, if that is the case, how does she do the thing where she stabs a knife through her hand and Hector makes her cut open the ends of her fingers and she heals them up? How can she go to... When the Clockmaker gets stabbed, and I'm calling him the Clockmaker because I can't remember what his name is, when he gets stabbed, she goes over and tries to fix him. How can she do that if her magic is purely illusion based?
So maybe the article I read was wrong.
I can see both sides of it, and this is what frustrated me about the novel, is that it wasn't explained well enough to understand what was happening. And I know that in some, when you don't have to understand everything that you're reading, but I think if the magic that was presented needed an explanation, otherwise you're reading it very shallowly. Yeah,
I think if, like, because it seems to me that there is a magic system in place. The characters believe there's a magic system. They feel confined by rules and limitations on what can be done, but the reader's never told how that works. So I think that is frustrating. And I think when I reflect on like what I get most out of it, I also find the competition element frustrating. Because it feels like, although Marco and Celia are both invested in trying to win the competition, and maybe I can understand that a bit, the idea of just creating a magical circus sounds more fun and appealing to me.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously it's more appealing to them as well because they want it to have longevity. Yeah. And another thing that I didn't understand, sorry. How is Marco stopping people age? But why isn't it happening to the twins? Or is it because he doesn't have their signatures?
Ooh.
That would make sense, wouldn't it? Maybe it's that.
Because the twins are born to
But then at the end, when Bailey gets the book and remakes the book, there is a page with the twins' signatures.
So will they now stop aging now that they're...
Well, I mean, yeah, because then right at the end, the circus is in the 21st century or whatever, but... And I didn't like that either.
You didn't like that the circus goes on?
Oh, no, I didn't mind that. I think Marco and Celia, having known... I don't think they explained enough to Bailey. Well, maybe it happened off page, but I don't think Bailey was made properly aware of the consequences of agreeing to this decision. And I think that is the abuse that that Celia and Marco have been through. But they're just...
Are they continuing the cycle?
Yeah,
with Bailey?
I think so, yeah. And I think...
That's such a dark interpretation on the ending of this story.
I'm so sorry. I'm
not saying it's false.
I just think that's my interpretation of it. And I think, especially Marco manipulates Chandresh, he manipulates Isabel. And maybe he's not doing it deliberately, but how can you root for him? Well, who is really responsible? Because it's not them, is it? It's Alexander and Hector, but to some extent, then at the end, they are choosing to continue that. I don't like it.
Let's talk about another element of the book. So we kind of said maybe the competition, even though it's like the driving force behind why the circus exists, in some ways it's one of the least satisfying elements of it, because the rules are clouded for so long. Maybe if it was clearer earlier on what was happening, I don't know.
I suppose that would rob some of the drama out of it.
Maybe. But I think an element of the book that I really like, and if you don't, it's okay. But I like the idea of there being this magical thing that's created by these specialists, but then you also have this society of fans. And I think their interaction with the circus and their forming their own society kind of says something about art and people's responses to it, and the relationship, I guess, between creator and viewer or participant. I kind of like that element. It felt like a discussion of fan culture. Did you like any of that side of it?
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I didn't hate all of the book. But to me, I'm going to say one last negative thing. I think if you had the setup of the competition and then introducing the rules, and then you jump to other storylines coming into the circus, maybe that would have been better, because you got that hype. You've reached that critical, one of them is going to die. Yeah. And then you see how the circus grows, and I'm not sure. Yeah. But I did like the reviews. Yeah, I don't know how you say the word either. Oh.
French word for dreamers.
Sure. Yeah, I liked the dreamers, and I liked it was something that they built themselves. I was really sad when Bailey got to when Bailey went up the tree and the circus had gone, when he was going to go with them. So I thought it was nice that the community that had been built around the circus was able to bring him back to his home. Yeah.
So I think Bailey's a character I kind of relate to the most as somebody who just longs to be part of that magical world. And yeah, I love his journey and his story for it, and I'm really pleased for him at the end when he gets the circus, even though now you've pointed out that he's signed up for a very ambiguous contract that might be his ruin.
Well, yeah, but I suppose he could burn it whenever he wants, couldn't he? It's his decision to keep it going. So
in my mind, he lives happily ever after.
Yeah. It seems that way.
Did you find the love story between Marco and Celia? How do you feel about love stories generally? Do you like romance in novels?
I love romance. Okay. I love romance and I love drama, and as much as I don't like the trope of love triangles, I love them because they're just dramatic and I live for drama. But I didn't like the love triangle in this one.
Did you
because
not?
I just felt like...
Do you feel sorry for Isabel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Isabel. Do you feel like you can root for Marco and Celia as a couple? Because they're problematic, but they're both children of their circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. And I think are equal in that. And I think, obviously, Isabel, as a character, is treated a bit unfairly. And I don't know if she would ever be able to be what Marco needs.
Yeah.
I just think... Yeah, I suppose I was rooting for them, but I also think they're a bit selfish. And I know that... but then saying that, they're not selfish, are they? Because they're each like, well, I'll die and then my love can live.
Yeah.
And then it's only...
But you feel like they don't... They're so consumed with the competition, what's right in front of them. Then... and I guess in some ways they are trying to sustain the circus. They care about the other people a fair bit.
I agree, but I think they make that decision for everyone.
Yeah.
I think is my issue with it. I think that's my main issue.
Yeah. They don't allow other people to have a say in what's going to happen.
And Tara, is it Tara that gets hit by the train, or is it Lainey? I think it's Tara.
Okay, I can't remember. One of them.
One of the twins can't handle it.
Yeah.
And I think
that's so sad.
If the people involved with the circus had known the repercussions, I wouldn't feel as strongly as I do about it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember, does it say whether, do like Mark and Celia understand that that's what's going to happen until like it's already happening and then they kind of catch up to it?
I think they catch up to it, I
think. So I don't think they set out thinking, oh, we're going to make you all immortal and like lock you in here, but it's almost like a consequence of what they're doing.
But and again, that's something that how did they know that? How did we know that?
So it's not one you'd reread.
Well, as we've had this discussion, I'm thinking about different takes I could have on it. I wouldn't reread it straight away.
Yeah.
I'd maybe wait a couple of years and read it again and see if I had a different take on it.
Yeah. So you can see quite strong opinions there on the Night Circus. I think it's fair to say it's not going to be one of your favourites. But it still remains one of mine for the atmosphere and the mystery. And I think, even though some of the puzzles frustrate me, the mystery kind of still has me tugging and returning to the book. But I can understand how equally that's really off-putting and annoying. Okay, so I think that sums up our reactions to the Night Circus as a long-time fan and a first-time reader. I think it's kind of awkward, but kind of cool that we have such strong different opinions. To show that, you know, it's okay if you react to a book differently to those around you.
You can still be friends.
You can still be friends. You can still be civil. We don't have to cancel each other. Not today, at least. So let us know in the comments what you make of this book. If you like Rachel and you really didn't like it and you felt bad because everybody else seemed to love it, now's your time to say.
This is a safe space.
Yeah. And if you like me and you love this book and you maybe can see its flaws but you love it anyway, yeah, say it. And if you love this book and you think it's perfect, tell us. We'd love to hear it.
I'm very happy to hear reasons why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate that it took me a while to read this book, so I might have missed things. Feel free to let me know. I will be very open to those comments.
Yeah. I think that's what makes books interesting. Is finding out what different people take away and what they make of it and different theories. I love fan theories. So we'll be totally doing more of these in the future. It'll be Rachel's turn next to pick a book for me to read. So if you like and subscribe, you'll be able to watch those when they come up. Thanks so much for watching today. Hope you have a brilliant day. Bye.
Bye. Wow, there's a spirit level under that camera.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it's straight, does it?
It doesn't.